What if I told you that some animals were photographed just once before disappearing from this planet forever? For millions of years, countless species lived and died without leaving a single visual record behind. Then, in the 19th century, the camera changed everything, giving humanity the power to freeze time itself. Today we present the final photographs of 14 species, the last proof they ever walked this earth. Number 14, the passenger pigeon. Now picture this, the entire sky goes pitch dark at noon. Not an eclipse, not a storm, but billions of pigeons, flying in a single flock that lasted for hours. European settlers cut down their nesting forests and discovered that pigeon meat was cheap, plentiful, and profitable. Professional hunters killed them by the trainload. Within 50 years, billions became none, absolute zero gone entirely. In 1914, a female named Martha sat alone in her cage at Cincinnati Zoo, the last of her kind. When Martha closed her eyes, an entire species that once darkened the heavens vanished from existence forever. Number 13, the Caribbean monk seal, a trusting creature of warm turquoise waters in the Gulf of Mexico. They lived in peaceful colonies of dozens, swimming up to boats and nuzzling strangers without a trace of fear. Hunters exploited that trust without mercy, cobbing them for blubber oil and stripping the sea of their prey. Incredibly, in 1886, scientists found a thriving colony and then slaughtered 42 seals for museum collections worldwide. The last confirmed sighting was near Colombia in 1952. After that, only silence and empty waves remained behind. Number 12, the golden toad. Imagine finding a creature that glows like molten amber on a misty mountaintop. Hidden in the highland rainforests of Costa Rica, these tiny orange jewels thrived in complete secrecy for centuries. Every breeding season, hundreds carpeted the forest floor in brilliant orange, a spectacle no human eye would see again. In 1987, researchers counted a thriving population. By 1989, only a single lonely male could be found alive. Itrate fungus had crept through the forest silently, thickening their skin until they could no longer breathe. Officially declared extinct in 2004, the golden toad now symbolizes the global amphibian apocalypse, still raging worldwide today. Number 11, the Carolina parakeet, North America's only native parrot, a flash of green and orange through ancient forests. They devour toxic cocklebur seeds and became poisonous themselves, so lethal that cats die just from eating one. But no amount of poison could shield them from human vanity. Their gorgeous feathers became a fashion craze overnight. Hunters slaughtered them en masse, while farmers shot every bird that dared land on their freshly planted crops. The very last one was named Inca. Remarkably, he shared a cage with Martha, the last passenger pigeon. Inca died in 1918 too. Last of their kind creatures, had lived side by side, both powerless against extinction. Esquirp. Number 10, the quagga. At first glance, it seemed like nature could not decide between a zebra and a horse. Stripes covered only its front body, before fading into smooth brown, with a pure white belly and muscular legs. This unique subspecies grazed the arid plains of southern Africa, a living work of art that existed nowhere else. European colonists assumed they were endless and hunted them without restraint for hides, meat, and simple sport on weekends. By 1878, one lonely female remained alive at the Amsterdam Zoo. She died 5 years later, utterly alone. The world barely noticed. Nobody realized that wild quokkas had already vanished 5 years before her quiet death. Number 9, the Barbary lion. Not just any lion, but the legendary king of North Africa's Atlas Mountains. Its enormous black mane flowed from skull to belly, far thicker than any African lion alive on Earth today. For centuries, these beasts fought gladiators in Roman arenas and inspired legends that echoed across entire ancient civilizations. Killing one became the ultimate trophy. Century after century, hunters chased the Barbary lion toward its final chapter. In 1942, a French military photographer captured a solitary Barbary lion from his helicopter. Likely the final photograph ever. Yet, recent genetics reveal its bloodline survives in distant relatives across India, a ghost still haunting the gin pool. Number 8, the Thylacine, commonly called the Tasmanian tiger. It was actually a marsupial, not a cat at all. On mainland Australia, dingoes outcompeted thylacines for prey thousands of years ago, pushing them into Tasmanian isolation permanently. Hathraean farmers then wrongly blamed them for killing sheep. The government placed cash bounties on every thylacine head. Between 1888 and 1909, roughly 2,000 thylacines were killed for bounty money, a government-sponsored massacre of innocents. The last known thylacine, a gaunt female, paced her concrete cage at Hobart Zoo and died on September 7, 1936. Number 7. The Zanzibar leopard, a small, pale-furred predator, perfectly evolved for the dusty island forests of Tanzania. Smaller than mainland leopards but lethally agile, it could take down wild boar and primate with terrifying precision. In 1960, Tanzania declared them a dangerous threat to humans, launching an island-wide extermination campaign against every single one. Their numbers collapsed rapidly under the guns. The final confirmed sighting was in 1990. Then they were declared extinct. But the mystery endures. In 2003, a National Geographic crew may have filmed a ghost leopard, still alive. Number 6. The Baiji dolphin. For 20 million years, this graceful creature was goddess of China's Yangtze River. Navigating murky depths with sonar, the Baiji was a living fossil, perfectly adapted to its vast ancient waterway home. In the 1950s, thousands still swam these waters. By the new millennium, barely a handful remained alive anywhere. Pollution choked the river, overfishing stripped their food, ships crushed them, and dams destroyed their final breeding grounds. The last captive Baiji, a male named Shishi, survived 22 lonely years in a concrete tank before dying in 2002. In 2006, a massive expedition searched the entire Yangtze for 39 days with sonar. They found absolutely nothing. The Baiji was declared functionally extinct, becoming the first whale, or dolphin species, eliminated entirely by human industrial activity. But the Baiji's ghost still haunts this river. Its tragedy pushed China to ban all commercial fishing across the Yangtze. Number 5. The gastric brooding frog, the strangest mother in the entire animal kingdom, lived in eastern Australia. This extraordinary frog would swallow her own fertilized eggs, her stomach completely shutting down all digestive acids within. Weeks later, fully formed baby froglets would crawl out of her mouth alive, born from their mother's own stomach. Scientists discovered this miracle in the 1970s. Within a single decade, both species had vanished from the planet completely. The chytrid fungus killed them while deforestation collapsed their habitat. Now researchers race to bring them back from extinction. Number 4. The Scumberg deer, a majestic creature wearing antlers that looked like crowns woven from living branches. These powerful males weighed up to 120 kilograms and roamed the wetlands of central Thailand in perfect peace. Hunters butchered them for trophy, antlers, and meat, while Bangkok's expansion swallowed every wetland and forest they called home. By 1938, only one Scumberg deer remained in all of Thailand. When it died, the entire species died with it. Number 3. The moa, a flightless giant standing over 3 meters tall, the undisputed ruler of ancient New Zealand. For thousands of years, moa fed peacefully on leaves and fruit, maintaining a delicate ecological balance across the islands. Then the Maori arrived 700 years ago. These wingless giants became their primary food and were hunted relentlessly. Forests were burned for farmland, destroying every last refuge. Within a few short centuries, all moas were completely gone. One haunting photograph reportedly shows the last moa alive, standing before a hunter, armed with nothing but a spear. Whether authentic or reconstructed, that image remains one of the most chilling records of an entire species, erased forever. Number 2. The heath hen. Its thunderous mating call once echoed across the open grasslands of New York itself. A relative of prairie chickens, it wore small horn-like feathers on its neck that gave it a fierce, proud profile. Farmers stripped the land bare for agriculture. Sport hunters used heath hens as cheap, living targets at shooting contests. By 1927, only 13 survived on Martha's Vineyard Island. Then a wildfire swept through and destroyed nearly everything. Only one male survived, nicknamed Booming Ben. He spent his last years calling for a mate that never came. Last seen in 1932, booming Ben's unanswered calls faded into the wind, and his species was declared officially extinct. Number 1. The two-lake wallaby, a small creature with elegant movements that once danced across southeastern Australia's golden grasslands. Its sleek fur and graceful leaps made it arguably the most beautiful species of kangaroo ever seen by human eyes. First documented in 1846, its world shrank rapidly as farms and towns devoured the grasslands it needed to survive. Scientists captured 14 for emergency breeding. 10 died from the stress of capture alone, leaving just 4 alive. The last wild two-lake wallaby vanished in 1924, and the final captive female died that same devastating year. One quiet photograph survives, freezing in time both the beauty of this creature and the moment of its final extinction. 14 species, 14 final photographs, every single one eliminated by the same unstoppable force, which is humanity itself. We hunted them for fashion and sport, poisoned their rivers, burned their forests, and paid over their last refuges. Each photograph shown today is more than an image. It is a final heartbeat captured on film before eternal silence. But within these tragedies lie seeds of change. The Baiji's extinction forced China to protect its surviving river creatures. Scientists now race to resurrect the thylacine and the gastric brooding frog through breakthrough genetics and the extinction science. Because once the last shutter clicks and the final cry fades to nothing, there are no second chances. Remember that. If you liked this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. See you next time.